Hi.
My name's J.C. McCauley.
I'm Nyesha McCauley, and you're watching AccessTV.org.
All right, well, it's not the Sunday show. It is the Tuesday show. I knew there was something I forgot to do. It's Morning Talk with me, your host, J.C. McCauley. And, of course, we have with us this morning Alphonso McGriff III. Morning, Mr. McGriff. How you doing, sir?
I have no complaints as usual.
All right.
I just kind of roll with it.
Yeah, changed up the opening theme a little bit. But I forgot that graphic has to change every day.
Every day?
Every day.
Oh.
Every day. So I gotta put that in my list of things to do before the show starts. So yeah. So yeah, your face should be there. Your face should be there.
Oh.
Yeah.
My face.
Your face.
My grill shot, huh?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
So how's your 2 weeks? It's been 2 weeks since you were here.
Yeah.
How have you been?
I've been cool. I'm just every few years I go through this space where I am redefining my direction. And so that's what's been going on. But I did not get selected for the Hay House, man.
For the book.
For the book proposal. And
well, I mean, you could still do the book.
That's without question.
Okay.
No, but so I'm gonna just go ahead and finish it up, tighten it up, and then get it out here as soon as possible, because I just see so many areas that could use it, that I believe can use it, in the school systems, in corporate environments, in the prison institutions. I can see how it can be used in so many different areas to assist us with getting better at interacting with one another. So
communication.
Absolutely.
And when you say interaction, do you limit it to communication or more broader interaction?
It's communication mostly, but it talks a lot about taking responsibility for self, having a direction and guideline for what life is. So I've talked about it before, but I talked about these cornerstone life foundations. And according to me, based on my own limited understanding of things, there are 3 sets of cornerstone life foundations. And the first set is profit, power, and control. And that's the one, that I've declared that most Europeans operate from. Most European men move from a foundation of profit, power, and control. And the second set of cornerstone foundations is competition, conflict, and confrontation, struggle to overcome, and a need to be validated by white people. and that's the African American set of Cornerstone Life Foundation. And then the third set is Understanding Life, Preserving Life, and Improving the Quality of Life for the Whole. So the book deals with a lot of things, and what I would say suggestions on how to approach life in general and not just harmonious and productive communication.
Okay, so go over those one more time. The first. These are cornerstones.
Cornerstone Life Foundation.
Cornerstone Life Foundation. The first, profit, power, and control. Right.
Yeah, that's the first. Yeah.
Profit, power, control. Second is
competition, conflict, and confrontation. Struggle to overcome, and the need to be validated by white people.
All right, I'll go over that. Do that one more time. The first of the three in the second set is
competition, conflict, and confrontation.
All right. Conflict.
Competition.
Conflict.
Confrontation.
Okay. Competition. Conflict.
Confrontation. 3 C's. Mm-hmm.
3 C's. There's a new movie out that really is could be the poster child for your second of the three. It's ingrained really in most things that are on television. It's a new Amazon Studios movie. They have a long way to go, but I mean, I should talk.
What is it?
It's the Tomorrow War.
The Tomorrow War.
Yeah, I think it's the Tomorrow War. It came out Friday. Sci-fi. It is probably the Pacific Rim was better. Did you see Pacific Rim?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was bad.
Yeah.
This
Pacific
makes
Rim.
Pacific Rim look like an Academy Award-winning movie. I mean, special effects were off the chain.
But
but it was just,
for me, it's all the same thing.
It's just same thing.
It could be those Marvel things. Everything is about conflict.
Conflict,
Everything is about control.
confrontation, and
Okay, so in that second set of Cornerstone Life Principles, the first is just like profit, power, and control. There are 3 aspects to that set of Cornerstone Life Principles. In the second set that I call African American Cornerstone Life Principles, competition, conflict, and confrontation is number 1.
competition, conflict,
And
confrontation.
And number 2 is number 2 is I just lost it. Competition, conflict, and confrontation. Struggle to overcome.
Okay, that's where I'm getting. Okay. So struggle to overcome
Is number 2.
Number 2.
And a need to be validated by white people is number 3. That's the African American set of Cornerstone Life Principles.
And the need to be validated.
And then ... by white people. Because, we're caught in the trap of constantly being concerned about what other people think with what we do and how we live. And as long as we continue to be concerned about what other people think, then that is a need to be validated. So it's not just by white people.
But primarily, though.
Primarily. Yeah, because the civil rights movement helped make white people our standard for what's best for us. Yeah. According to me, that's not necessarily everybody's truth.
Struggle to overcome. I guess if you're always struggling to overcome, you will never arrive.
There are intelligent well, let me say this. There are intellectuals
Mm-hmm.
who teach us and young people that our life is a struggle. Join the struggle. Become a part of the struggle. And then spend our entire lives engaged in the struggle.
The struggle continues.
Right. And so that's just a horrible way to live. It's a horrible way to see life. And in one of my quotes in my little book, I said, if someone asks you to join the struggle, run as far away as possible, as fast as possible, as soon as possible. Life, there's this guy, Stuart Wilde, wrote a book called Life Was Never Meant to Be a Struggle.
Mm-hmm.
And I've heard other people talking about life becomes a struggle only when we're in denial.
It's like stress.
When we are in denial about the reality that we're in,
Mm-hmm.
that is when life is a struggle. And we spend a lot of time in denial. You know, we spend a lot of time in denial.
I watched a series on Netflix. It's actually I think it's a History Channel series. Alone. Have you familiar with the Alone series?
No.
This last episode, and I shouldn't say episode, season. I think it's season 7. We're 10. It's always 10 people, and I've watched a couple of the seasons. They're alone in different parts of the world, and the last ones I saw were in the Arctic. And the last season of Alone was it was 100 days. So if you manage to survive 100 days, the winner got $1 million. But they were, you're alone. You literally are by yourself, and you tap out by calling in the people, and they come and get you.
Tap out.
So that's the official.
Is this a real reality show, or is this a movie?
No. This is a reality show, but it's a real reality show. You are alone for 100 days, and it gets cold, like 30 degrees below zero wind chill factor, but below zero on the regular.
Right.
And you left there with nothing but some basic tools. You have to build your shelter, the whole 9 yards. Bottom line is, when the thing that brought that to mind was when you're talking about people refusing to accept the realities around them, and how much life is a struggle. And the fact that there is struggle in life doesn't mean anything other than you have to find a way to overcome and survive. And it's amazing that people being in denial of that, to me, is like the threshold which they can't get over. It's like that final rung on the ladder, then you can't get off the ladder. It's like you've climbed out of a pit that's 20 feet deep, and the last foot you can't get out. It's like where that denial is just that last foot, and then they can never get out of it. They can never get out of it. It's just, that's how my mind processes it, because if people would just accept that you are in this reality, so learn to live in it.
That's what the forest is about.
These people, they are living literally in the forest, in the wilderness, with bears and wolverines and the potential of slipping and falling and busting your face on a rock in the ice, broken shin, all the things that make you not be able to continue, a simple cut that turns into an infection, then if you don't leave, you're going to die. Losing 20 pounds of body weight because you're not eating. And you have to adapt. So, what are you going to eat? Squirrel, muskrat, and porcupine, whatever. You have to survive. And I think that so many people refuse to move beyond the struggle so that they can live, let alone survive.
Yes, the struggle is a denial and a lack of full acceptance of the reality that we're in. Full acceptance is accepting it fully and then deciding how to deal with it based on it, how it actually is. That's why I always talk about the forest and how in the forest there are beautiful things and there are not so beautiful things, and there are areas we can go. And I hear people say freedom is when I can do whatever I want to do and nobody can't tell me what I can't do. And I'm saying you can't exist anywhere and just do whatever you want to do. There are always certain restrictions based on the reality of the environment we're in. So just like being in the forest, there are certain areas we can't enter into because of the danger associated and all the other things associated with the forest. So it's just beautiful things, and there are not so beautiful things. The problem with many of us is that we get hit with a little poison ivy, and then we make the poison ivy our entire life. We build our entire reality around the poison ivy and that it gave us a rash, and we can't get rid of all of it, and it's always going to be here. So what do? We figure out how to fight against it. And, it's a fight that it just doesn't make sense, but because we locked into thinking in boxes, we don't really see the value of understanding the forest analogy and how life is the same way wherever we are, no matter who thinks they're in charge, no matter who has what titles, no matter who's making the rules. At the end of the day, we still have choices to make that can benefit us.
The insistence on the way things should be, as opposed to the way things are, I think is, I won't say the ultimate denial, but a grave distraction. And that people will spend so much time trying to make things different than they are. And I say this guardedly, because I don't want to suggest that you shouldn't strive for better or to create new things. But so many people get caught up in in the endless pursuit of changing the near impossible. Today is the day that I tame the lions of the jungle.
Yeah.
When lions eat people.
Well, all the lions have to do is, and then we'll be okay.
Right.
So it's not how it works. It's just like with the young Olympian sister.
Yeah, with the marijuana traces in her.
Right.
In her blood.
We have found a reason to be mad and angry about her being suspended from maybe not even participating in the Olympics, or for her being suspended from the Olympic team.
Mm-hmm.
And she just made a bad choice. She made a choice, and she's suffering the consequences. She didn't make that choice without knowing that THC or whatever is in weed was an illegal substance.
I would imagine being an Olympic athlete, you know these things.
She made the choice knowing full well what the consequences could be. So I don't have any beef with it. She just made a bad choice and have to deal with the consequences, and we all do it and have done it. And I think there would be a far greater lesson for young people and everybody if we dealt with it from the place of making certain choices that bring about certain consequences, as opposed to weed ain't hurting nobody, it's legal, she should be able to still run. Why are they making a big deal out of it? They making a big deal out of it because she's black. That's what the problem is. Michael Phelps smoked weed. They had videotapes of him smoking weed. And why are we in that conversation? We only in that conversation because we're in complete and total denial and struggle to overcome mode. None of that matters.
Right.
The only thing that matters, she made a bad choice for her reasons that made sense to her. And she has to suffer the consequences for that choice.
Tragic situation with her, but if she'd have gone out and drank a fifth and got into a car accident.
Man, that's not tragic. Smoking some weed and not being able to run in the Olympics.
Well, no, I don't mean that. I mean her mom passing.
Her mom passing is
right.
Tragic.
It's tragic, and but if she'd have gone out and got plastered, and got in a car accident, it would be she made a decision. There were negative consequences to it. She went and got high. Now there's a negative consequence to that action.
Yeah.
That's what I mean.
So black folks are functioning like everything should be adjusted because they should understand. That's not how this thing works, especially with us. It just doesn't work that way, man.
Right.
Especially with the young gymnastics sister just wrecking everybody's nerves. Just making young white girls wonder why am I even competing? Mm-hmm. She's just destroying everybody and everything. And then we have a young black female swimmer who's ready to go down there and clean up shop. And so right now it's just a lot of reasons to figure out how to calm us down. And that's just how this works. That's how they operate. And this is how it's always been. So to keep tripping and being in denial about this reality is why we stay struggling.
So the struggle to overcome need to be validated by white people.
Yeah, that's the third one.
Mm-hmm. I see this all the time.
Oh my gosh.
All the time. I see this in decisions that are made. I see it on the political level. I see it everywhere. Instead of people standing up with some backbone, having some courage and stand for something and take your loss. But don't.
Well,
don't.
This is the problem. The need to be validated by white people. I say ... white people.
Mm-hmm.
See, there's a need to be validated, period. That's at the root of our consciousness after coming out of 300 plus years of being enslaved. But the ... by white people comes with, they control how we pay our bills and send our kids to school and buy a house and cars, and they're usually the ones in charge of how we're able to manage that. So we find ourselves doing things so that they will continue to validate us so that we can continue to live this kind of life that we want to live. So the decision becomes more than just making a decision and accepting what comes with it. In many of our cases, in a majority of our cases, the decision comes with completely losing your livelihood. So, for instance, this woman on ESPN, Rachel Nichols, white woman, make a long story short, basically complained that this black woman got this job because of all the hoopla around race and all of that kind of stuff. And she's tired of it. It got recorded. And this was over a year ago. And the information, the New York Times released the recording and the information or whatever. And so now everybody knows about it. And you can listen to the recording and just plainly hear her complaining about black people getting positions because people feel sorry for them and they black. Basically is what she's saying, okay? Now, it's amazing watching Negroes in sports try to make a comment without upsetting white people. If you're going to comment on it, comment on what we all heard. But to try to scuffle yourself, I saw this one brother. He listened to the recording. No lie. Video. He listened to the recording. He came and made a videotape sounding all tough and revolutionary and saying, oh man, she got some explaining to do. He knows her personally because he used to play in the NBA and the whole night. She got some explaining to do. I don't understand that. That's no lie. A few hours later, with the same clothes on, he makes another video. Well, I understand where she's coming from. I mean, look at us. We don't like when we work real hard and some white person get the job just because they white. This dude totally flipped the script. Matter of fact, a whole lot of lazy black folks in their basement don't want to do the work. But this dude went off on black people. He ended up going off on black people. Same clothes. It's almost like somebody gave him a call, said, listen.
You get 20 minutes.
You got 14 minutes and 30 seconds to get yourself corrected. And that goes on with us constantly because in most cases, white people control the bag.
The money.
And we find ourselves compromising our self-respect, compromising our young people, our families, everything, because we don't want to make white people upset and sacrifice the money. So, and some of us don't have the wherewithal to just not say anything.
That's always an option.
That's always
you
an
just
option.
don't say nothing at all.
Just leave it alone, especially if you're concerned about being able to continue to pay for your kids to go to college and all, because that's understood. We hurt ourselves because we have in our minds this longing desire for the circumstances around our relationship with white people to change and become a simple human relationship. But that's not going to happen. It's just not. So we have to deal with the reality of the way things are, make certain sacrifices when we can, and when we can't, make moves that serve our best interests. But then the question becomes, how much money do you need before you're not scared of white people? We got multimillionaires who still scared. And that becomes psychological, heavy duty psychological. How many millions do you need before you're no longer afraid? And this is why we still enslaved. In America, if certain black people who are in certain blessed positions say something that makes certain white people uncomfortable or upset, they will use everything they have to punish us. So, to a major degree, many of us are still enslaved by the fear of losing our ability to generate money, make money. And that's, and so when I speak to white people about so-called racism and stuff, I don't get into all of them gory details. I just keep it simple. Black people are still afraid white people gonna take their money. Black people are still afraid to make white people upset. And certain white people in particular. You make them upset and just all hell breaks loose, and the goal is to just ruin your entire life and the next 7 generations, their lives too. So in this environment that we live in, that's real. So don't talk to me about so-called racism. Don't talk to me about it's getting better. Don't talk to me about any of that when it's white people that attend when it's black folks that sit in so-called diversity meetings at work and still are afraid when they say, well, we're open here. There's no consequences. We want everybody to be honest. And black folks sit in that meeting and be honest, and 2 months later, they get a little write-up, and 2 more months later, they don't have no more job.
Well, these are very real. These are very real, and people are they're neutered,
and the thing about it, we're all neutered to some degree. We just are. That's just the way it is. If you black in America, you have to pick and choose your spots, because you're gonna back off in some areas. It's just the way it is. If you want to make certain strides and accomplish certain goals and certain things, there are gonna be spaces and times where you have to just shake your head and back up. That's the way it's set up. That's just a fact of life. There's no need to feel embarrassed or humiliated or terrible about that reality, because that's just how it is in this reality, in these times. Those things significant that we have a desire to use to project ourselves forward are controlled by white people. Right now, they can decide they don't want us on Facebook or YouTube. You say something that they don't like, blap, you're done. And that's just real.
It that should be That should be abundantly evident to every human being on the planet, considering where former President Trump is.
So that's what I'm saying. I'm saying that it only makes sense if you want to continue exploiting Facebook or YouTube for whatever your Instagram, for whatever your what's important to you. Act like you know who you're dealing with, because that's just how it goes. And it's not even anymore vulgar. It's not vulgar stuff anymore. It's just we don't like what you said.
Right. The thought police are out in full force. You could be canceled from the public space if you say something that somebody finds offensive.
Now, I will say something that some people will find offensive. And this is a ledge I don't mind going out on. This Lil Nas X dude.
I've heard of him. I know who he is only from conversations I've heard, but I don't know any of his music.
He did this performance on the BET Awards. It's these let me gather myself. This is
a recent?
Yeah, so-called black award shows. This guy, Lil Nas X, did this full-fledged satanic devil worship performance using Egypt and Kemet symbolism as the foundation for this satanic El Crapola. And this is going out on national television throughout the whole world, right? So I'm looking at I didn't watch, I saw it on YouTube. So I'm saying to myself, this is acceptable.
Right.
And I understand that in this reality, this stuff is acceptable. What I don't understand is why he didn't use Greek or Roman symbolism, because they're more their history is more accurate with the freewheeling sex and homosexuality and all of the stuff that he wants to represent. And it would have been a more accurate relationship with his combination of satanic and homosexuality and all of that stuff, men tongue kissing men and all of this other stuff. That's Greek and Roman stuff. Why you gotta go over there and contaminate Egypt with it? So it would have been more accurate to do it from a Greek and Roman place. Then the question is, why would he do that to present Kemet in such a way before the entire world and all of these new generations who don't really know understand the significance of Egypt and Kemet? And it makes me think of the reality that so much of what our ancestors have done and historically that the world continues to learn from, the world wants to continue to learn from it without us understanding how powerful it is. So because we still functioning with a consciousness they created, they can just keep moving us any way they want. So if I mentioned Lil Nas X, he's clearly promotes that he's gay, which is cool for me. He clearly promotes that he's into this whole satanic stuff. I don't know if it's genuine or it's just his brand, or I don't know what it is. That's cool. But do it in relationship to Greece and Rome. Because that's where they, that church back in the day, and how they lived, it was standard to have a 12, 13-year-old boy for sex and just have a wife to make kids. This is how they live. So that's more in harmony with the kind what you promoting. Why wouldn't you promote Greek and Rome? Because you, just like many of us, are afraid to offend certain people. You know what I mean? He probably wouldn't even have been allowed to do that presentation if it was based on Greeks and Romans and how they rocked and rolled back in the day. So, and then if you say something, if you critique Lil Nas, then all of a sudden you're a homophobe.
Right. So if you critique him, if you criticize or express an opinion about him and his performance, you could be canceled. But if he does what he wants,
right,
that's cool.
This cancel stuff is just amazing. Like, you know, it's got people running scared, and black people, you can tell we are out of our natural minds. Anybody, an 8-year-old can sit back and watch us for an hour and a half, and the 8-year-old to be like, wow, we're out of our natural minds. We have this thing where we want to get up every day and fight for our rights and equal opportunity and equity, and we don't want to be judged based on our skin color and all of this stuff. But we are the quickest to just turn on our own people and do this cancel culture crap. Like, I call it the lynch mob syndrome.
That's a good analogy, because that's ultimately what it is.
We don't even want you to have a chance to have other people see you in a different light. We want to lynch you before you get a chance to present yourself. Just, you know, it's wild. You have to be out of your mind to fight against that on your own behalf, but be the quickest one to go at somebody and for the same reason.
Well, it would seem that there's no tolerance for folks who
have a different perspective.
It's you know, I think that goes back to your conflict and competition, conflict and confrontation.
You see, this is the thing.
Everything is.
Lil Nas, do your thing. Man, do your thing. This is the reality we in. Do your thing. But I should be able to say, that's not the direction I'm going for these reasons. And life goes on.
Right.
But in this reality, that's not the case. It depends on who you say that with and what you say that could get you involved in this so-called cancel culture business. And with the book, for me, it's just simply about especially based on the reality that we're in now. And there are such extreme differences in how we all view things. We have to be able to live and let live, man.
I absolutely 110% agree. I think if folk just let folk be who they are, it's like there's an all-out war on letting you be you. You can't be you no more. You can't be who you are. You must be who I want you to be.
Right.
And when you conform to what I say, then
you're okay.
You're okay. Until I change the rules tomorrow. And that's like everybody now.
And I should in a truly in a truly free environment where we're able to share our thoughts, I should be able to share my thoughts as to why your approach doesn't work for me without having to be canceled.
Right.
You know, do your thing. And you can share why my approach does, and without you being canceled. But we can't have that conversation without it going all the way to the extreme where somebody is being name called or canceled. You know.
It reminds me of folk that was, put out the church because they disagreed with something that somebody in the power structure would say. So you're excommunicated. And it's really you're being excommunicated from the society for not walking in lockstep with what they with the new religious tenets of the new order. Mm-hmm. And these hyper beliefs. So competition, conflict, confrontation, struggle to overcome, and the need to be validated by ... white people. The third group, third cornerstone. There were three cornerstones. That one was number 2. Now, what's the third cornerstone?
Yeah, we've been over that one. Understanding life, preserving life, improving the quality of life.
Oh, that's a good foundation.
For the whole.
That foundation is a preferred.
That's a life-affirming foundation.
Life-affirming foundation.
The other two foundations are lifeless.
Lifeless.
Yes, because there's no concern for life involved in those sets of cornerstone life foundations. There's no, life is not a major part of that. And that can exist without concerning oneself for life. Mm-hmm. For productive life or a life affirming behavior. Profit, power, and control. It can exist independent of life and life affirming behavior. It's lifeless because it has no concern for life and life affirming behavior. Competition, conflict, and confrontation, struggle to overcome, and the need to be validated, ... by white people. Mm-hmm. Lifeless because it has nothing to do with life affirming behavior. It has everything to do with behavior that is rooted in seeking outside oneself for how to live, self-respect. Life-affirming behavior moves from within.
Okay, so the life-affirming the life-affirming cornerstones, mm-hmm. once again, are
understanding life, preserving life, and improving the quality of life for the whole.
When one understands life,
starts with understanding self. Mm-hmm. And in this, for me, it has worked in an awesome way because the more I begin to understand me, the more I begin to understand life and how it works outside myself. The more I begin to understand me, the more compassion I have for life outside myself. The more I begin to understand me, the more I begin to understand how to move in a life-affirming way.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not about anti-life. You know, it's life-affirming. Understanding life and preserving life is the same thing. When I do things, whether it's how I eat and how I move and how I take care of this physical vessel
Mm-hmm.
that we're occupying, that is preserving life. Preserving life is life-affirming behavior. Preserving life includes not doing anything to contribute to destroying life.
Mm.
You know what the ultimate in the preservation of life is?
What?
In a communal body,
Mm-hmm.
or in a community that functions like a body and
Mm-hmm.
body parts,
Mm-hmm.
the most significant, at the very essence of a communal body is pregnant women. Because there's an understanding that a woman is with child,
Mm-hmm.
and energy is of the utmost importance.
Mm-hmm.
Meaning that everybody in that communal body understands that they don't want to be the one who's contributing an adverse energy to the life of that child that's feeling all the energy around it.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a natural behavior associated with operating with the respect for life. And like I said, when I talk about procreation,
Mm-hmm.
the father of that life understands that the child feels that father the same way it feels the mother.
Mm-hmm.
And the father is functioning in a certain way. And the surrounding people in that communal body understand that too. And because when women are pregnant in their families, they want the same respect. They give it. And so pregnant women maintain the civility and the life-affirming behavior in a communal body, if you understand what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
The presence of a growing life and the desire to not affect that life in an adverse way through foul energy creates a situation where a pregnant woman is pregnant woman or women keep the entire communal body in a life-affirming type of energy.
So all things are done in order to bring life forward,
Right.
to secure the safety of life, hers and the unborn.
To secure a certain quality of life. Because safety is innate. You don't even need the word safety when you're functioning in this way.
Okay.
And so it's securing a certain quality of life and maintaining a certain quality of life through life affirming behavior.
Okay, and so the other two cornerstones, which are not good ones,
They're not good or bad.
they're
just lifeless.
Okay, all right.
One is life affirming, the other two are lifeless.
All right, so to better understand where oneself is, one understands these three cornerstones, and then a decision has to be made within one's consciousness to make an adjustment
Where do you want to
that
be?
puts you where you think you best operate.
Right. And this is all in the book too.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, who won the book? Did they let anybody know that?
Yeah,
or
yeah.
Just
they let you know who the people were that they did choose.
did they give what the book was, or they just?
Yeah.
And now you were in the finals, or was it open?
It was just open.
Just open, okay.
It was like 1,000 people vying for 4 spots.
Okay.
Basically.
All right. Very interesting. All right. We'll take our first 9 o'clock break. We will come back and continue on with Mr. Alphonso McGriff, myself, and you all out there. If you have any comments or questions, we have several comments, but they're more bullet points and highlights in terms of what was said. So there's no real questions, just comments. So we'll continue after the break. Stick and stay. It's Morning Talk. We'll be right back.
That's you. Well, you know, it's just like the old days, right?
Okay, let's go back. Mike, can we go back to the end of Gary's solo?
Jay Hogarth in a recording session, and that was a lot of fun. Stick and stay. We'll be right back after this.
Independent thinkers are Puerto Rican, Mexican, Peruvian, Indian, Bosnian, Italian, Irish, Jamaican, African American, European, straight, gay, Nigerian, transgender, Christian, Jewish, Muslim, short, tall, skinny, rich, poor, happy, sad. Some of us hold a PhD and others a GED. And though we may be Democrats, Republicans, or members of the Working Families Party, we all have escaped the plantation of party politics and become independent thinkers because we as individuals are more than a party. You see, independent thinkers come from all walks of life. And the one thing we all have in common is that we love, live, laugh, and learn in the city of Hartford. We are the constituents, and the government of Hartford belongs to us. My name is J. Stan McCauley. I'm an independent thinker, and I approve this message because it's time to stop towing the party line and vote for a candidate you can trust. You too can escape the plantation of party politics if you have the courage to free your political mind.
Okay. It's Morning Talk with me, your host, J. Stan McCauley. We got a champion of talk here with us this morning, Mr. Alphonso McGriff III. Welcome back to the second half of our daily conversation. I want to remind you that we are here every day. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 8 o'clock. Tune in, always something new. And sometimes a repeat of something good. So Saturdays we repeat best program of the week. Sunday is more gospel talk. Monday through Friday is all kinds of conversations with different people. We have the champions of talk in. A little esoteric and go into the realm of thinking on Tuesdays and new ideas and new places and to challenge you with Mr. McGriff. Wednesdays, we talk about education with Dr. Maya Bowen. Thursdays, I have a special guest. This Thursday should be very interesting. Tune in. I think you'll enjoy the conversation. And on Fridays, it's kind of slow it back down with Cleo Duke Wright and Vicki Fennell. Monday is Jonathan Small and Vicki. Jonathan finds a guest from somewhere around the country and brings them to our microphones, and we have a conversation with them. So we're going to continue our conversation. Off camera, we were talking a little bit about, during the break, we were talking a little bit about the situation around the country with with this virus stuff. I don't know if you've been paying attention to what's been going on, but it's very, the madness continues at breakneck speed. Now, I shop at two places, Whole Foods and Walmart. We go to Walmart for all of the, snacks and cans, all that kind of stuff. They go to Whole Foods for everything else. Now, there's two Whole Foods. There's more than two, but there's the one in Hartford Center, West Hartford Center, the one in Bishop Corner. But the one in West Hartford Center, for the longest time, during the COVID, everybody would queue up around the freezer to wait in line. Mm. So my wife and I where I decide, let's just stand here and see how many people fall in behind us. Because everyone's so used to doing that. They'll just stand, they'll get behind you and everyone will wait because they've been trained. And it's just interesting to see how people are so used. Folks are conditioned. And we saw some friends of ours there yesterday. We were having this discussion. I was listening to the news. Well, no, I was reading the newspaper this morning and listening to the news. The mayor of Maui is asking the airlines to stop sending so many people. He doesn't have the power to tell them not to come, but he's asking them to slow down the number of people because Hawaii is the only state that has not lifted all of the COVID restrictions. Mm-hmm. Hawaii still has restrictions. Only 57% of the population has received vaccine. They would like it to be 70% or 78%, 79%, something like that. That have to be vaccinated before they would consider safe or herd immunity or whatever. And so he's asking people not to come. And now the people in Hawaii have actually gotten used to the fact that, enjoying the island without a whole lot of visitors.
Enjoying the island with the restrictions in place and stuff.
Well, I'm not so sure about the restrictions, but
without a lot of visitors.
Without the tourists.
Oh, okay.
Right. Now, during the pandemic, they had 1,000 tourists a month. This month or last month, whenever the month is that they're making the comparison to, it was 200,000, 253,000, something like that, in 1 month. Up from the year before, which was 1,000. Before the COVID, they had 70,000. So it's almost back up to where it was. But you still have mandatory quarantine if you go to Hawaii. But in spite of that, people are still coming. And the mayor of Maui was saying, look, you gotta slow it down here. We don't have the help. One, for people not coming to work for the, working in the hotel industry, the hospitality industry. They don't have the help, and hospitals are still stressed. So he's making a plea. Now, the other thing I heard was, and this was really interesting. This was on the 50,000 watt flamethrower, TIC. Your boy got another hour.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Todd's on from 2 to 6 now. Rush is gone, so they made some changes. TIC. And this morning on the news, they were talking about the officials are waiting to see the uptick from the July the 4th holiday. Now, last year, they were telling people don't gather because of the potential uptick. I heard absolutely nothing about the potential of an uptick before the 4th of July. In fact, it seemed to me they were doing everything possible to get you to get on a plane, gather with family and friends, go out and be with people, take your masks off, go out and it's good to be back again. I mean, that was the feeling I got, that they're really trying to tell people. But now it's the Delta variant. The Delta variant is in all 50 states. The rate in which the Delta variant is moving seems to be twice as fast. And I can't help but think that the experiment continues. How will the vaccine hold out if people gather together? without masks from those who have taken the vaccine. If you've gotten both shots, go out, gather with friends and family in the open, at bars and restaurants. They're all open again. Go on out there and spread it, live it, and then they can see
a continuation of the experiment.
Because the vaccine still has not been approved.
Right.
So we're still in an experimental stage, and I think now part of that experiment is to see how well it holds up under the conditions of being out there freely. Even though you can still get this.
They've always said the vaccine does not stop the spread of COVID.
They emphasize that.
The vaccine does not stop the spread of COVID. But the commercials and stuff imply that you have less of a chance to get it, more than they imply what they've always said, that if you do get it, you won't get as sick. There's a really subtle implication that if you have the vaccine, you have less of a chance to get it. And that's never been the narrative pushed by the CDC. But that's been implied in all of the messages I've seen, and television, and even people are convinced that they have less of a chance to get it because they've taken the vaccine. And then I saw where, okay, so you know, with this heart inflammation thing that was going on with young people.
Oh yeah, hearts were blowing up.
And then they were, well, we're suggesting that for the young people, if you had the first, don't get the second one. Don't get the second one. So, I'm saying,
really?
Yeah.
In Texas, they said this morning on the news, I heard, in Texas, 1 million people have not shown up for their second dose. And so they're saying that if you haven't had the second dose, the chances of, and then this is the way they said it, the chances of you getting the Delta variant is cut way down. Way down. If you didn't get that second dose. Which is another, if you didn't get the second dose, if you only got one dose, they believe that whatever the brand of vaccine is, that it only works like at 33%. But they imply it only works at 33% at stopping the virus.
And that's not the case.
Well, if it doesn't, you can still get the virus no matter if you fully vaccinated.
Right. That's what I'm
saying.
To
suggest that if you only have one that you could more likely to get it, it suggests that if you have it, you won't get it.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
They're playing all these word gymnastics
games.
And head games. Mm-hmm. Then they wonder why people are still hesitant.
Because many people are realizing it's an experiment. And many people are realizing they don't want to participate in the experiment. And, it's some pretty heavy videos out there with people having these adverse effects. And their kids having adverse effects from the vaccine. So, yes, people are hesitant. And especially when every day is something different. Well, we've come to the realization that, like they said, for the young people whose hearts were being inflamed.
And there's a lot of them.
Well, just don't take the second shot.
What do you mean just don't take the second shot?
For those, for those of this particular age, we've discovered that it's best for you not to take the second shot. Yo, man, I saw these people saying this. I mean, yeah. Mm-hmm.
I still say, the Xantex commercials. My kids, 11 and 10 years old, sitting in the kitchen, because we eat dinner in the kitchen, and we have a television in the kitchen. And so the commercials be playing, and for those that understand, the commercials are on the television screen. They be, he be, we be. So, and, the drug commercials come on. And, of course, they're listing everything that could possibly go wrong. And the kids always key in on it. And they're like, well, why would you even take this stuff if it can cause death? That's the big thing that they ease you into in certain cases has been known to cause, the results can be terminal. They don't say you could die. And in some extreme cases. Mm-hmm. And so, but there's nothing wrong with the virus medication.
There's a method to the madness, though. You know what the method to the madness is?
What is that?
Because they've understand that we've seen all of these commercials.
Mm-hmm.
In order to overpower that, with the cocoa vac, you withhold, and I believe in their mind is the longer they withhold the CDC approval, the better. So when they finally say it's CDC approved, now you're not thinking about all of the potential side effects. You're just thinking it's CDC approved. You dig what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Whereas a lot of us don't realize when we listening to those commercials, those are CDC approved. Even with all of these potential death threats that go along with the medication. So in order to kind of skim over that, you withhold the CDC approval, and then finally when the CDC does approve it, the mind immediately thinks it's good, we're good. And you're not thinking in terms of the side effects. You dig what I'm saying?
I got you.
So to me, there's a method to the madness.
The approval comes along with all of the negatives, full package.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have to list any of the side effects. They don't have to list anything because it's not been approved. It's been approved for experimental use.
But guess what?
Against.
Once they approve it, mentally, all of the COVID people are going to just go by it's approved.
It's approved, so it must be okay now.
It must be
it's
okay.
It's totally okay.
Totally okay. Yeah, it's approved. That's why it took so long to get the approval.
So my question would be this. How far away are we from the approval? Where are we on the approval process? How far away are we on the approval of the vaccine for COVID-19, period? Where are we on that? How far away are we? And why aren't we there yet? I guess that's the real question. Why hasn't it been approved yet? Why hasn't the vaccine been approved for regular use? Not experimental use. It's safe. They said it's safe. If it's safe, then why not approve it?
Hey, Dr. Oz says it's completely safe.
It's been used on millions of people around the world, and no one has died. But we know people have died from COVID-19. That's what I've had doctor types tell me this.
You've heard a doctor say it's been used all over. The vaccine has been used and no one has died
from the vaccine.
From the vaccine. Yeah, that's clearly. I just saw something that came out from an official site. I think it was the CDC that talked about 5,208 people dying from the vaccine.
From the vaccine.
Yeah.
That is inconsistent with what I've heard from doctor types.
Doctors are lying. Period. It is the doctor's goal to get you to take the vaccine by all means necessary.
Well, that I think became abundantly clear, and I could sometimes I the old do no harm. I understand.
Matter of fact,
sometimes I think that some of these guys are getting paid to push this.
They are
more than they are trying to help save lives, because there's a lot of medical professionals that refuse to take the vaccine and are willing to lose their jobs.
They are being paid to push it, bruh. They've been getting paid to push medicine forever. This is nothing new. But that's a blatant lie, because I remember I posted it on my page, and then I posted the link where people can go read it themselves. And then that's the same post where it said, well, the 5,208 people compared to all of the people who've taken the vaccine only represent 0.0017 something percent of the people in relationship to who took it. And my first thought was, well, the 500, 600,000 y'all talk about in comparison to the entire population only is 0.0007%, something to that effect. But no, man, they can't say nobody has died from the vaccine. I mean, I think that could almost be Googled, how many people have died from taking the vaccine.
Wow.
And then the thing where people can just report deaths from taking the vaccine that they don't count as official because they don't have any resources that all of that, but they have an area where people can go on the CDC and just report adverse effects, including death. I don't know where that is now, but the last time I saw it, it was like 10,000 people. So people have died after taking the vaccine. Doctor, that's just a lie. Based on the information being presented. I don't even see how a doctor can say that with a straight face. There's no vaccine that people have taken that didn't result in death. Not even the flu. The flu and other vaccines that have been given to people throughout all of these years, none of them can say there's not one death associated with taking this
with the vaccine.
I think that's an irresponsible statement.
The United States government is using vaccine as part of their enticements.
Not only that, but this thing ain't even a vaccine yet. It can't even be considered a vaccine until it gets approved. So it's not a vaccine. People are calling it one.
So it's just still for experimental use only.
Yeah, it's an experiment. But they don't want to use the word experiment, so they got everybody acclimated to using the word vaccine. It's not even a vaccine. It hasn't qualified to be a vaccine, according to Alphonso and my limited understanding. So I don't know, but more power to the people, all power to the people, and everybody has to do what's best for them.
They have to do what's best for themselves. One viewer says here, once the book is published, how can it be placed in school systems, libraries, textbook was.
That's what's taking me so long, because I want it to be so right.
You don't suffer from analysis paralysis. Get it finished and then take it apart to make it better.
No. I want it to be, when I say I want it to be so right, meaning I want it to flow and to make sense. And a very, very huge awakening for me took place when I was working on the book proposal. When I saw the structure that they gave us to go by, and how the structure helped me. The structure was such that I end up redesigning how the whole book was presented. And so I was very happy that I did the book proposal for that reason and that reason alone, because there's no question that restructuring how the book is, there's no question that it helped big time. It helped it flow and everything. Now I've been to Jamaica in the mountains twice working on this book. And even after that, went through the book proposal, and actually I just take a big sigh of relief, because it's so much more organized and everything the way it is now, with the after having done the book proposal. And the book proposal is what forced me to restructure the whole thing. So I'm not freaking out as much as I am just tightening up, because I want it to be kind of required in schools and in prisons and on job sites, everything. I want it to be, because right now there's no book that represents a standard for harmonious and productive communication.
Right, and the key is harmonious and productive communication. The rules, is that in the book?
The 6 guidelines? Man, them 6 guidelines are one of the cornerstones of the book.
Okay.
Absolutely. That's the first part of the book. That's the first chapter or first module of the book's the 6 guidelines.
Okay, so the cornerstones, those are just
another 3. The cornerstones are it's another module. Okay.
But the 6 principles, which I love.
The 6 guidelines.
I mean, the guidelines. Can you just say them real quick?
Let me think. Okay. Agreement and disagreement are irrelevant. Understanding is. We never tell a person they're wrong. We never talk over a person. We one person speak at a time. Everybody's right. That one people struggle with, boy. That's why we need the book, because people struggle with that one. Everybody's right. What's the other 2? No personal attacks. And no, what do you call it? No, yeah, that one. I'm trying to think of what I call that. Passive aggressive behavior. So passive aggressive behavior, a person's speaking and you're shaking your head like, no, you're wrong. Or you sitting right in front of the person speaking and you don't like what they're saying, so you just pull out your phone and just act like you ain't paying attention. Or they're speaking and you just keep raising your hand like you can't see that they see that you want to say something. So, so that was the other thing. Yeah.
I use those principles when I conduct my meetings, when I chair my meetings. I think that the principles should be right there with, Robert's Rules of Order. Maybe how those are, Robert's Rules of Order are well established around the world for how you conduct a meeting. But to me, before the Robert's Rules of Order can happen, you have to have a climate where you can have a productive,
harmonious interaction.
And for the sake of discussion, no one is wrong. All ideas have to be considered. To declare someone wrong is to dismiss their idea before you've had an opportunity to totally hear it, flesh it out,
and highly increase the chance for a confrontation.
Right. So, and speaking over people. So let them talk. We got plenty of time. Because I chair a organization that meets every week, which is unusual. Most organizations don't meet 52 times a year. They don't meet weekly. They sometimes will meet once a month, once a quarter, semi-annually. But once a week is unheard of. But we meet once a week for 2 hours on the record. And we always have a 2-hour after meeting that's off the record. And those are the short after meetings. We've had 4-hour after the meeting meetings. So we have plenty of time for you to be heard. There's no need to talk over someone, because you wasn't heard in the first 5 minutes. So just relax. We'll get to you. But the whole 6 hours, as it has been at the longest, we employ that methodology. Let so and so talk. Consider, because to me, the reason that you're coming together to meet is to come up with a solution that requires everybody's input, and you can't have all the input till everyone has an opportunity to say what needs to be said, synthesize, try it out. It's about the solution, not about me or you. It's about what the work here. It's like leaving out an ingredient. When you're baking something, then you wonder why it didn't come out right. It's because all the ingredients are there. So to me, everyone is an ingredient that must be heard and add it to the mix before you can figure out what you're going to do with it. But I love the
those
6 principles.
Those diagrams you liked are going to be in there too. Remember the diagrams I had where the with the circle in the middle, and how the information comes from the universe to the person, and then each individual brings that information into the circle.
Yes. And
then the other one that had everybody speaking across each other, and those models for my communication ideas. So I think it's some awesome information. I just can't. I'm anxious to get it done. And one of the things that I plan on doing is to directly answer the question. Is once I order the books, I plan on shipping some books out to specific places, specific schools, specific people, to get their feedback on what they think about the books eventually being a standard part of those environments. Especially people that have meetings, a lot of meetings,
Lots of people have
a lot of meetings. Yeah.
Lots of people have lots of meetings.
And
There's so many people that meet. It's just, it boggles the mind. I don't even know how I wound up being where I am in terms of.
And so I get more excited because you freak out just on the 6 guidelines, which is the first module, and there are 30 modules that include those 3 life-affirming cornerstone life foundations, and the explanation for each one of those. So, it is exciting. But today, I hope I'm not too late, and I hope they still accept it. But I'm almost finished with my poem for the Jazz Festival.
That is in. That's like a next
little less
week.
than 2 weeks.
2 weeks? Yeah. It's 16,
17,
17, 18. Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah, so that'll be finished today. Finally, man. That presented me with a really good challenge.
Oh, okay.
And it wasn't easy to write, especially with how choosy I can be. And then with the unlimited amount of information to pull from for each of the genres that I chose to speak about, it is just one heck of a challenge. But I should have that finished today and send it out and see if I'm still good.
Well, that'll be good.
So that'll be done, and then it's time to finish up the book, man, and get it moving.
Alphonso, that book is a bestseller. Now's a great season to have this book on shelves and embraced by open hearts and minds. I think so. There is no better time than now. This is the perfect. People need rules for communication that are ready for the post-COVID experience.
Guidance.
People
reject the term rules.
Rules, okay. Guidance. All right. Guidance. Yeah. That's a better term.
Yeah. What about your boy, man?
Who
How
is
you
that?
feeling about it? Bill.
Oh, Cosby?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I can't speak to Bill Cosby's innocence. I can only speak to the rush to get someone.
I can speak to his innocence.
Well, he's not, from
He
what it would
is.
say.
He's innocent. And the what do you call it? Public opinion?
Public opinion?
Public opinion, he might not be. But legally, he's innocent.
Legally?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And you can come up with 150 women. But if they don't take him to court with him found guilty, it's just words.
Everyone in the United States of America, and this is why, for me, you're innocent until proven guilty.
Right. And I don't
a court of law. The
Right.
police do not have the right to try you on the street. The press doesn't get to try you on the street.
They do.
They try, but you're innocent until proven guilty
Right. So he is innocent.
in a court of law. So there was an agreement, and the Supreme Court of Pennsylvania said he should never have been arrested, let alone tried and sentenced, and ordered an immediate release, and his expunged.
Overturned.
overturned. And in a rush to get somebody head on a platter that was high profile, because he was the first of the Me Too movement, and it gives you I won't say hope, but it can remove the absolute dismissive attitude that one could understandably have toward the legal system, because it takes a while, but And
then there's a rumor going around that he said, I drugged and raped women. And that man never said that. He never said that. Even in the deposition that he agreed to speak about, he never said that. And it's like amazing how it's amazing how powerful these 6 media outlets can be in transforming the minds of the Stepford people.
The mask is
so he's not guilty. He is innocent.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm totally glad that that lynch mobs can't convict you.
At least not in the United States.
Not in the United States. Now, I've seen some convictions and beatdowns going in some other countries.
Oh, they drag you out your house. The ruler doesn't matter who you are.
They do you in.
Yeah. To me, that's.
But I'm glad in this country that lynch mobs can't convict you. For the most part.
For the most part.
You gotta put that in there.
I did a whole movie called, I think it was Public Act US 151. Yeah. We did I wrote and produced a little movie, Public Act US 151, many years ago. After was it Clarence Thomas? No, it was Bill Clinton.
Mm-hmm.
The Monica Lewinsky and Bill Clinton thing. Because it was before he came forth. But the idea or the notion that you can make an accusation and be the accusation, you're guilty. And now you have to prove your innocence. You're guilty until proven innocent is the new way that it goes out. And my thing was that if the president of the United States can be accused and assumed guilty, then the rest of us don't stand a chance. You don't stand a chance. You're guilty, therefore you're done. Things like daycare centers. Angry parent, angry client, make an accusation, you're done. Shut your daycare center right now. And by the time you prove your innocence, you're done.
Right.
And you're supposed to be innocent until proven guilty. You are innocent until proven guilty. And I think it is reckless of those in the press or anyone else that until the court of law makes the determination, no one is in a position to make that assessment. And even then, it's kind of sketchy, depending upon the evidence.
You can have your opinion.
Opinions are dime a dozen.
That doesn't determine
someone's innocence or guilt. Right.
Guilt. It doesn't determine somebody's guilt.
Right.
Because they're already innocent.
In this country, you are innocent. That's my problem with the way the police treat. Now, I understand how the police are, but that's my problem. When the press and the police say, well, he has a long rap sheet. That's not the issue. You don't know that when you pull somebody over. You don't know that when you're chasing someone.
Right.
I mean, even if you knew the reason for why you arrest, detain, I have no problem with that. Suspect. All right. It is what it is. Life ain't fair. You've been accused. So you're suspected of. But that's where it ends. Guilt can only be determined in a court of law. And you get to have a jury by your peers.
In America, allegedly.
In the United States.
Yeah.
Right. Which is why a lot of people come to this country to do business contracts and things like that, because our laws. It isn't voting that makes America a place where there's democracy. It's the rule of law. The rule of law is what separates us. Not the vote. It's the rule of law. So if the law says you are innocent, period, until proven guilty.
Yeah, I'm gonna stay out of that democracy part. I'm let that leave that to the politicians and things and such.
Right. Well, I mean, from a political point of view,
yeah,
they like to think that it's your right to vote, but no, it's the rule of law that makes it a place where everybody is. Folk don't follow the rules of law.
Well, they still trying to hinder and make the idea of black people voting more of a challenge than it needs to be. So, in 2021, so again,
yeah, well,
this is the reality of America.
That's a reality, right?
And
it's funny how then no one wants to talk about voter suppression, voter theft, vote interference in towns that are all one party. Because that's where it happens the most, on the local election in one party towns where those things happen. Because it always serves to keep those in power. And they get to make the rules and change the rules ad nauseum. But as you suggested, that's another subject for another day.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. Well, your book should be out soon, and I can't wait to have a copy so I can look at it.
We're going to expedite the process, turn all the attention and focus onto it, finishing it up, and getting it printed. Absolutely. Yeah, I can't wait to get it to you so I can get your thoughts on it. And Dr. Maya, the education person, she'll be one of the early recipients.
I'm sure she will be glad to.
So I can get some feedback too.
To get her copy. Yeah. Well, onward we press. We've come to the end of our time, and we'll do this again next week. Next week? Actually, when is next week? I think next week I am in studio. I have a big studio shoot. Let me just check my calendar super
13th.
Quick here. The 13th, yeah. Because that Friday is the jazz festival.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, the following
16th.
Friday.
Yeah, the 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. I am that week there will be no shows. Because I will be in studio at a secret location in a secret studio with a very high profile person doing the video.
Nothing wrong with that.
I'm forbid to talk about it beyond what I just did, which is pushing the outer envelope. But this is big. So I won't be here. But that should be I am excited beyond.
So you won't be
measure.
here next week.
Next week.
But you'll be here the week after.
The week after, yeah. Right. I'll be here the week after.
Cool.
So yeah. I have to drive into the city.
Oh yeah.
To the big city.
That sounds like a winner.
Yeah. But I like being at home.
Mm-hmm.
So I just as soon drive down and back every day.
Oh, really?
Yeah, as opposed to drive down and stay.
So that's what you're going to be doing, driving back and forth every day?
Yeah.
Oh man, that's exhausting just thinking about it.
Well, I like to I like to talk.
Mm-hmm.
So the drive gives me an opportunity to be on the phone. So I can have an hour and a half, 2 hour conversation and drive to New York and make 2 phone calls. Easy. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
And so that'll give me an opportunity to talk to 4 people on the phone every day. Which I do every day anyway, so I may as well be in the car traveling during that time. So next week we won't be here because of that. All right. So what's the name of the book?
I'm not disclosing the name right now.
Okay. Undisclosed title.
Yeah.
All right. That's fair. All right. Our time together has come to an end, my friends. We will be back. Tomorrow's Wednesday already. Wow. I'm missing a day here. Dr. Maya Bowen will be in studio, and we will talk about things education. And then Thursday should be exciting because we have a special guest coming and talking to us about an issue that you might be very interested in. Reparations for those out of the enslavement only. And this person's worked
ADOS
at the federal level on this kind of legislation.
African descendants.
That's it.
Of slave. American descendants of slaves.
Of slaves. Yep. They're all into this with very, very. So that would be an interesting conversation, and then the following 2 weeks we could talk about that.
Yeah.
All right, my friends, we will be back tomorrow. Have a great day. Bye-bye.